Hello friends and followers, welcome back to TJ's Modeling Bench. This is just going to be a little short video for an end of year recap for 2025. We'll take a quick look at what I was able to get finished this year. And of course, you know, I still got 3 other ones that are not finished. Those will get finished in 2026. And we'll take a look at what I intend to build for 2026. And it may be a little ambitious, so more than likely not all of those are going to get finished in 2026, but I have compiled a list of things I want to try to build and have finished this next year, 2026. It is now 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on New Year's Eve, December 31st. I have to work tomorrow. I have to get up a little bit earlier than I normally do. We're working what we call a Saturday schedule, so we're going in at 7:30 and then off at 3:30 with no lunch break in the middle of that. So that means I will not be partaking of the fun and festivities tonight, and hoping that loud bangs of fireworks and barking dogs don't keep me awake all night. But that said, let's take a quick look at what we did this year, and then we'll look at what we're going to do next year. Hold on. So the first project we started on this year was the Mini Cooper from Hasegawa. And you may recall I actually had 2 of these kits. One I had sent to my grandson who lives in Alaska for his birthday. I started this early doing a video series of basic build so that he could watch it a little bit later when he had his birthday in mid-February. Well, he might have been a little too young. My understanding is he never did touch it. But it's there. He's got all the tools he needs if he ever decides that he wants to. But it was a basic out-of-box build using basic tools, nothing extravagant. The kit decals were pretty good, except the ones on the roof and the hood. Those cracked on me really bad, and I left them. All right, the next one was part of a group build with some guys overseas. This is the Eduard 148 scale Mirage 3 CD, I think. Done in Israeli markings, obviously. And I tried to weather it. The weathering technique I tried, it was a little bit new to me. I might have overdone it. It's basically using a white oil paint to fade things out. And I figured, you know, it's over there in the desert in Israel. Probably not going to be kept real clean. Going to see a lot of sun, so a lot of sun fading. Overall, it was a pretty good kit. I did use some aftermarket paint masks for the camouflage. And then I also used some aftermarket landing gear on it. But not a bad kit. All right, the IndyCar that we did. This one is an older, I'm trying to recall now, I think it was a monogram. Not a terrible kit, not a lot of detail to it, so fairly simple. I really didn't try to do anything out of box with it. I did have a little bit of trouble with the decals because they were old and a little yellowed. Right now it doesn't look too bad, but when you get up close you can see the yellowing in those decals. Might have been a good idea to order some aftermarket decals for it, but I do have another IndyCar in my stash that's going to get built this next year, so you can stay tuned for that one. And now that I've built this one, I know what to look for on the other one and areas where I might be able to improve it some. And then this is our USAC build for 25. This is the Dodge Dart. I did a lot to this car that were firsts for me. I opened the doors. I originally had the trunk open, but I couldn't get it to hinge properly, so I ended up gluing that shut. The hood, you can see a big cutout, so that oval air cleaner, I kind of liked the way that looked, and I gave it the exterior body color, excuse me, and then I cut out the oval in the hood to make room for it, because it does stick up above the engine bay. I used, I believe it was an MCV Products 3D printed engine. I could be wrong about that one. And then some aftermarket wheels and tires. We raised the back end a little bit. And then this was part of the Blue Ox Model Shop Street Machine group build. This is a Chevelle Nova SS. No, Chevelle SS, right? Yeah, the Chevelle SS 396. But we actually put a 409 engine in it. I did a few customizing things to this. The decal in the back window is actually a hand painted mask. The wheels and all the trim is done in all clad black chrome. I don't know, I just kind of like that meaner look that the darker chrome gave to it. We did adjust the stance a little bit so it does sit up a little higher in the rear. The wheels really fill out those wheel wells. And then this is our Dodge Demon. I don't know, I had this idea. I wanted to do a custom paint job on it. It didn't quite turn out the way I intended, but, first time, not too bad. I think I can do better in the future if I do something like this again. So it's hard to see, but where the Demon is on the hood, there's actually kind of some flame licks, ghost flames even in there. Um, it wasn't a bad kit. I really liked it actually. I I wouldn't mind building one of those again. It was nice. Um, yeah, not much I can say about that. Some aftermarket parts. I believe the engine and wheels and tires are all aftermarket on that one. This was our, what is that, 53 Ford pickup that we did for Grandpa Mark's. Um, was it 48 hours? I guess it was 48 hours. The cancer awareness group build. So, yeah, it must, oh no, maybe it was only 24 hours. I can't remember now. But we were able to paint the body ahead of time. But the bed there with the wood detail, that's that crafting tape that I found. And then I went over it with some Mod Podge to seal it in. Did some custom graphics of the pink cancer ribbons. The one on the hood is something I found online and tried to replicate that. The interior, I used some other crafting tape to do kind of a checkered seat. The steering wheel has some pink fuzzy on it. I mean, it's not great, but it doesn't look bad for, 24, 48 hours. This was, or is, the, is this Hasegawa as well? Maybe. The A7D Corsair Air Force markings. This one turned out pretty good. I had some issues with decals on this. So before I laid the decals on, I did clear coat it with a gloss clear to help those decals lay down nice and level. But I got a few areas where they silvered on me, and then I went over it with some dull coat. So it doesn't look bad. It could be better. Like a lot of these builds this year, I think I rushed myself on them, so the quality isn't where it should be and where I know it could be. And then, of course, we've got the Tommy Ivo rail dragster. This is not strictly out of box either. I used a 3D printed engine in this. I also used wheels and tires from MCV Products. So the rear tires are a little bit smaller than the kit tires, and then the front wheels are slightly larger than the kit wheels. So, but in the end, I think it actually looks pretty good. Um, I might have done better using maybe an orange colored paint rather than the red because along the length of the body, there is a decal of several different sponsors, and some of those are in red, and you can't see them because they blend in. And finally, let's look at what we're anticipating doing in 2026. So in the upper left corner, you've got that Novo Chevy 2 wagon. That is going to end up being my shop vehicle for Mark Batson, Hobby 007's challenge, I guess, or suggestion that us content creators create a vehicle for our shop logo to take with us to the Acme show in October this year. So I'm pretty sure that's the one I'm going to use for that. That's the plan at the moment, anyway. And then below that, you've got the International TranStar cab over, with nationals being IPMS nationals being in Fort Wayne, Indiana this year. Fort Wayne used to produce those trucks. And I'm originally from New Haven, which is a little town just east of Fort Wayne, but real close to where the Harvester plant used to be. So I'm going to build that as a tribute vehicle to that history. And then behind that, you see the Duesenberg 33 boat tail. That is a 1/16th scale. I picked that one up. Actually, I picked that one up at Acme this year, I think. Yeah, I think it was Acme. That one, and then above it to the right is a Cord. So you got Auburn, Cord, Duesenberg. So I've got the Duesenberg and the Cord. Again, with IPMS Nationals being in Fort Wayne, the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum is in Auburn, Indiana, which is about maybe a 40-minute drive northeast of Fort Wayne. So again, this is a tribute to that, or a tip of the hat to that, maybe, if you will. And then below that, in the front, you see the other IndyCar that I'll be doing. Again, Indiana, IndyCar. So we got to throw that in there. To the right of that, you've got the International Scout 2. My dad had one of those. It was a 1976 model with a convertible top. So I'm going to try to cut off that hard top and see if we can make that a convertible. It's going to require a little bit of research and a lot of scratch building rework probably to make that happen, but that's what I would like to do. His was white with a blue soft top, and it had red and blue stripes on it, which was obviously for the bicentennial of 1976. So yeah, that's going to be another tribute to Dad and International Harvester together. And then behind that, you've got the F4E Phantom. That's an old Hasegawa kit, and I've got a lot of aftermarket extras for that, including some decals that I bought years ago when I bought this kit. Actually, this kit I've had for 20 years now. The decals are for the Air National Guard Squadron in Fort Wayne when they were flying the F4 Phantoms back. I think they switched out of those in the late 80s. I think maybe I was still in high school when they switched to the F-16s. I don't recall, but I do recall the F-4s being flown for quite a while with that unit. So that's going to get done as well. So, it doesn't look like a lot. What is there, 7 kits there? And I did 8 or 9 completions this year. But, like I said earlier, I think I kind of rushed myself through some of those this year, and all of these I really want to take my time and really, make them show worthy. I'm going to try to get all of these to the IPMS Nationals, with the exception of maybe, the Nova. But before I even get started on these, I've got to finish my short track, Saturday night short track builds, my little, my Slammer, and whatever the other one was called. I can't remember, one Ford, one Chevy. Those are really close to being done, so I think I might actually put the USAC build aside again for a little bit and get those done, and then get back on the USAC build because it's due mid-March. So maybe when I get the short track builds finished, I can work on the USAC build and maybe one of these other kits at the same time, just so I don't get too far behind and don't ever have to feel rushed to get them done. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at for the 2026 upcoming year. So in closing out 2025, I want to say thank you, a big thank you, to all the viewers who tuned in this year, for all the people who subscribe to watch whatever I put out on a weekly basis, or what I try to put out on a weekly basis. I've made some great friends just through the YouTube community. I met a few of y'all at different shows this past year and hope to meet some more in the upcoming year. If you do watch this and you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. Join us. Tune in regular for me. But with that said, y'all, I hope you have a safe, blessed 2026. Keep on modeling. Peace and love.